at question 5, which reads, Adams Corporation is considering 4 average risk projects with the following costs and rates of return. The company estimates that it can issue debt at a rate of RD 10%, right? So I'm just going to underline the important bits in the meantime. And its tax rate is 30%, right? It can issue preferred stock that pays a constant dividend of 5 rands per year at 49 rand per share. Also, its common stock currently sells at 36 rand per share, and the next expected dividend D1 is 3 rand 50. Okay, and the dividend is expected to grow at a constant rate of 6% per year. The target capital structure consists of 75% common stock, 15% debt, and 10% preferred stock. Okay, so what is the cost of each of the capital components? Now, in answering this question, when we start seeing cost of capital and we start seeing weights thrown in there, we should have an idea that this is going to involve parts of WACC, right? So remember that WACC stands for the weighted average cost of capital, and that's equivalent to the cost of the weight of debt, which I'm going to say WD, and that was given to us here saying that debt was 15%, 0.15, multiplied by RD, which is the rate at which lenders expect to be repaid. And this is tax deductible. Interest is tax deductible, so we multiply by 1 minus the tax rate. We then add the weight assigned to preferred stock, which is WP, multiplied by KP or RP, whatever you want to call it, which is the rate at which preference stock investors need to be repaid, okay, or the return that they expect. And then finally, we have the weight of retained earnings, WS, or new equity, multiplied by RS or RE, right? So this looks at 3 sources of capital. The first one is we can gain our capital from debt, which is reflected in this cost over here. Okay, that's the cost of debt. Then over here we have the cost of preferred stock, or the rate at which preference stock investors want to be repaid. And then finally over here, the rate at which equity, common equity investors should have a return. Okay, so those are the 3 costs. Then when we look at WACC, we're actually just weighting the costs. We're assigning weights to it that add up to 1, so we don't have to divide by the sum of the weights because it's simply equal to 1. And so over here, that's the weight associated with debt, the weight associated with preference stock, and the weight associated with equity. And that's given to us here when we talk about the target capital structure. Okay, so when we need to answer the cost of each of the capital components, we simply are going to be looking at the underlined portions that I've given us or given you that is part of the WACC formula. So let's look at the first one over here. It's going to be debt, right? And the cost of debt, or the rate at which lenders to us expect to be repaid, or the returns that they expect thereon, is RD multiplied by 1 minus T. Okay, and that can be inserted there. RD was given to us at 10%, so we can say that's 0.1, right, multiplied by 1 minus 0.3. And where do we get the 0.3 from? It is the fact that the tax rate is given at 30%. So if we do that on a calculator, that's 0.1 multiplied by 0.7, and that should give us 0.07. Okay, which is equivalent to 7%. So in other words, the cost of debt, KD, is equal to 7%, right? Now let's look at the cost of preference shares or preference stock, right? Cost of issuing preference stock will give us the following. So let's just list that as KP or RP, right, seeing that I've used R over there. That's equal to D, which is the dividend at present, divided by the price at which preference stock presently sells. And that can be given to us over here. That's going to be 5 rand divided by 49, and let's see what that results in. 5 divided by 49. It gives us a value of 0.1020, which is equal to 10.2%. Okay, 0.1020, which is 10.2%. And now let's look at basically the cost of issuing capital, right, KE. And this is using the discounted cash flows approach, right? Discounted dividends. It's going to be D1, which is the expected dividend. I'm going to say RS, which can also be written as RP. It's going to be D1, which is our expected dividend, right, divided by the price, which is P0, the current price of that share, plus the growth, right? And so if we substitute that, we can see these values clearly give us, it's given in the question, D1 is given, the next expected dividend, which is D1, is R3.50, divided by 36 Rand per share, plus the growth is 6%. So I'm just going to write plus 6%, which, as you know, is 0.06. So 3.5 divided by 36, 7/72 plus 6%. That gives us a value of 0.1572. Okay, and that you can say is 15.72%. Right. Okay, and so there we have the cost of each of the capital components. So what does the cost of capital mean? It means if you want to raise capital using debt, lenders expect a 7% return on what they give you, right? If you issue preference stock, well, preference stock, they expect a return of 10.2%, and common equity expects a return of 15.72%. Okay, so that's question 5.2.